Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Belfast, where after 18 days, we've reached the final matchups of Rugby World Cup 2017. Classification places are up for grabs, places that could decide perceived success or failure. Northern Ireland has provided some wonderful backdrops, from the story of the Titanic through to the Giant's Causeway and the Antrim coastline, and plenty in between to keep everybody entertained in between the games. But rugby takes precedence today with the final shouts, an Asian matchup for our 11th place playoff to start with, and then Euro Central as Italy go up against Spain for the 9th place playoff. The Kingspan Stadium will start with a Celtic clash between the hosts and Wales, and then we're back here at the Queen's University for Australia against Canada to decide 5th and 6th. It's a battle of the free spirits, if you will, for that bronze place, the 3rd place playoff between France and USA, and then a repeat of the 2010 World Cup final, England up against New Zealand, the big one tonight. It's Queen's University Sports Campus that sets the scene for today's games. It's the 11th place playoff, familiar foes for Japan and Hong Kong. We've already had the Heineken coin toss with referee Amy Barrett-Teron leading the way. Sena Saito, the Japanese captain, winning the toss and opting for the kickoff. Meinam Chow deciding which end she wants her team to start from. Plenty of ardent fans that have followed their teams through from the beginnings at the UCD in Dublin to here in Belfast. Let's take a look at their teams for today. Japan have adjusted their starters to move skipper Saito to loosehead. That means that Misaki Suzuki starts at hooker and Miura will start in the second row. In the backs, Makiko Tomita returns from her suspension to that midfield. The key there, though, is scrum half Moi Tsukui. Jo Hull remixes her Hong Kong outfit. Tammy Lau, Royce Chan come back into the front row. Chrissy Gordon, at 39 years of age, is back to start at number 8. At the other end of the age scale, 18-year-old Kelsey Bootle returns to action at inside centre. That means a shuffle for Olsen Thorne and Garvey, with Xiaoyan Kwong on the wing. Flexibility the key on both benches, as tired squads, of course, fill in on their last outings. Two teams waiting patiently for their final outing. Familiar foes, of course, for both Japan and Hong Kong. The Cherry Blossoms, well, they've got a dominant history between these two. They've only lost 1 in 16 encounters, though they'll be aware, as we all are, of the improvements of their opponents through the course of this tournament. So much to play for. Pride will be at the forefront of the team talks, taking them out onto the pitch now. Saito and Chow, the two captains, will have really fired their teams up to have a strong, sturdy finish that, as I say, could decide perceived success or failure. Hong Kong, of course, in their first outing in this tournament. Japan playing in their first Rugby World Cup since 2002. The sun, thankfully, has returned to Belfast for this one. Before the teams, though, can enjoy it on the pitch, we go through the formalities, the national anthems. The Hong Kong national anthem will follow Japan's Kimi ga Yao.
standing as we play the national anthem of Japan. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing as we play the national anthem of Hong Kong.
起来，不愿做奴隶的人们，把我们的血肉筑成我们心的长城。中华民族到了最危险的时候，每个人被迫地发出最后的吼声。起来，起来，起来！我们万众一心，冒着敌人的炮火前进，冒着敌人的炮火前进，前进，前进，进。
So emotion bubbling up in both camps, understandably, as they set themselves up for this final game. Changes in those forwards with Masaki Suzuki in at hooker, Mimuda starting in the second row, skipper Saito moving across to the number 1 jersey. In the backs, well, Makiko Tomita has had to sit out the last 3 games with suspension. Watch out, as ever, for that scrum half, Moitsu Kui. Jo Hull remixing her forwards. Tammy Lau, Royce Chan are in there. Chrissy Gordon back to start at number 8. 18-year-old Kelsey Bootle also returns to action in the 12 jersey. That means Olsen Thorne moves over a place and Adrian Garvey will start at fullback. And there is the benches. Plenty of women eager to finish this tournament on a high. Referee for this one, Amy Barrett-Teron, former South African player, of course, with Swengili Jadazweni and Marie Lamat on the touchlines. Kevin Beggs in the truck, completing the officiating quartet. I'm delighted to welcome former Ireland second row Rosie Foley alongside me for this one. Rosie, 2 teams that know each other very well.
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting game here today. They last played in July, 58-0 to Japan, 60-19 in the second game. It'll be as I said, very interesting to see how they both have developed in this game. And there seems to be a bit of a huddle going on here. This could be serious.
It's very serious, I'm sure, because Japan know that they have to get a victory, a tick in the win box before they head back home. Hong Kong know what the threat is, but they also realise the changes that they've been able to make since they began at the UCD just 3 weeks ago. The clock ticks to 12 noon here in Belfast, and it's time for the final match day, the final chance for teams to finish with a flourish, to get some feel-good to take back to their countries. Everybody, of course, has done themselves so proud in the way that they've performed. but this will be the memory that probably sticks with them the longest. The final encounter. Shun-Li, the tight head, sets it back for Chloe Mak. Hopewell Fong. Japan not committing to the ruck, keeping the numbers wide, holding that line. Good, quick rush up from Ayon Mimura, the Japanese second row, quick off the line, forcing Hong Kong to play inside their own 22, and eventually the ball is shipped, and Japan now have an attacking opportunity. Tsukui. Quick ball presentation means that the Japan attack can find a quick rhythm. We saw that in the Irish game. There's one of the tries scorer, Shimizu. And Mayo Shimizu is going to open the scoring 82 seconds into this game. Japan already on the board.
Fantastic start there. Hong Kong started very, very well after the kickoff, but Japan not committing to the rucks, and they just waited for their opportunity here. So, yeah, here we go. Hong Kong had all the possession, good rucking here. Number 8 from Japan took that ball, out it came, and again, the attacking threat of Shimizu there at full back, fantastic, and they know their way to the line.
We call it a turnover, but in fact, when you look closely, it was the presentation by Olsen Thorn that didn't help her team, and that was a gift for Japan.
A total gift. When you're going into a ruck like that, you need to get that ball away from the point of contact as quickly as you can, and she failed to do that, and it resulted in a fantastic try there for Japan. The best opening you could have in a game like this today.
Well, Shimizu, who scored that vital try against Ireland, the second score, of course, after the penalty try, unable to add the conversion this time around against Hong Kong. But you see just how clinical the Japanese attack can be, and the fullback well aware that she could just pull Kayan Chong out of defensive alignment, and the door opened wide for her to run through for that first score. Hong Kong have had a slap in the face inside the first 2 minutes of this game. They have to react. Defensive pressure this time for the ladies in blue. Tsukui gets that box kick in. Those Japanese forwards lining up early, led by Sayaka Suzuki, one of the 4 ever-presents in this Japanese lineup. Have played every single minute. Sakurai, the second row, another. Saito, the captain, and Hirao Nagata, the outside centre, the other 3. Adrian Garvey back in fullback duties for this one, having played in midfield in the last outing against Spain. See the diligent work that Japanese defence is doing, forcing Hong Kong to try and find holes in it early doors. Christy Cheng, the Sevens captain, having to do some hard work in the close quarters of the 15s game. Chrissy Gordon. Plenty of experience, of course, bringing her back in to that pivotal number 8 post. Mak feeds back to Shun-Li. Two very important scrum halves, very impressive scrum halves that have shown themselves through this tournament. Oh, nearly, but nearly an interception. Well, a deliberate knock-on is the call.
All good, happy with penalty.
My initial reation was that she was going for it, but there's the, let's just take a look at that.
You can have a good look here. Buttel there in the centre, she went for that ball. She went for the intercept here. You can see as we're going forward here, she had her eyes on the ball going.
I think the fact that the hand was
Went
going down,
went down,
influenced the ref.
Yeah.
And that's an understandable call. Most referees always looking for that two-handed pass where possible, or at least hitting the ball upwards so you can take it again. Japan using the boot of Tomita to make that ground. That is a difficult area for Adrian Garvey to get out of. She's done very well, actually. The big number 8, Maki Takano, came in, of course, when Matetonga Bogadramana Dave broke her leg in that first game against France, and that looked to be a huge loss. But in fact, Japan have done very well to reset themselves without their big Fijian number 8. Good anticipation from Hopewell Fong, covering for Garvey in that fullback role. Mack feeds out to Agnes Chan. As Hong Kong look to get into foreign territory once again. Chan again, happy to do the hard yards. Hopewell Fong with that little nudge through, doesn't quite get the bounce, but pressure, big pressure on Akari Kato. Replacement for the injured centre, Keiko Kato. And the turnover is there for Hong Kong. Chong stepping in to keep the attack moving. Hopewell Fong well behind the gain line, but keeping hold of the possession. Japanese forwards being pulled back in closer by that Hong Kong threat, but the passing is not going to help the Hong Kong on this situation. Japan double ganging up on Kaiyan Chong. Menam Chow feeds on to Chrissy Gordon. Turnover ball there. No hands is a difficult call for Tsukui when she's digging the ball out.
Better play there from Hong Kong in the last couple of minutes, holding on to the ball. What's impressed me is Japan are really coming right up in the defensive line very quickly, and it really is stopping Hong Kong making any meters and gaining any purchase on the pitch out here.
Well, this is going to be an important setup from Hopewell Fong to give Hong Kong their first attacking line-out. And then you see the diligence of their forwards.
And you can see the impact that Gordon, their number 8, has on this game. But equally, you can see Japan, how quick they are to ruck over. And I think they're a bit unfortunate there with giving away the penalty.
Royce Chan hits a target and immediately into that midfield setup. Bootle. Good call from Garvey. Cheng feeds inside to Kaiyan Chong. Scored the second try against Wales, did the little left winger. She's been impressive when she's had the opportunity. It's just that the opportunities have been hard to come by.
They have been, and I suppose the familiarity between the two sides playing against each other on a regular basis in the Asia Championship. You know, they know what threats to expect from one another, and I suppose they're wide awake to them. So it'll be interesting to see the tactics as the game unfolds.
Safe take from Miura. As the Japanese forwards look for the exit from their 22, completed by Tsukui. Garvey, unforced error, she'll be frustrated with that. known as Rocky, so if you see any signs around with Rocky on it, that's who they're referring to. Adrian Garvey, former Wasp, born in the UK.
Don't bind on the shoulder, bind on the jersey. Okay.
Well, Hong Kong have had plenty of the ball, just not been able to do anything with it.
Yeah, it's that rush defence coming up from Japan has been most, as I said, impressive in the first opening 10 minutes of the game. The familiarity of playing against each other has a huge bearing on this, but I'm hoping as the game goes on it'll open up a little bit more and you'll see it.
See the effort that Japan already are having to put in. These two, as we've mentioned, met only a matter of a month and a half ago. There's Jo Hull, the Hong Kong head coach. What a job she's done. Had plenty of experience, the assistant coach for Scotland back in 2006. Then went on to coach Premier League side Edmonton in Canada, and that was the men's side as well as the women's side in the University of Alberta. Now she's doing a great job for Hong Kong in developing the game as well as the national team.
Yeah, you can see it's going to have an impact in the years to come, and the experience of the World Cup here will filter through that squad and to players who are watching this at home.
Yeah, legacy has been one of the key words that Joe has been using in this tournament, and as you rightly say, Rosie, it's about making sure that people back home realise what's possible for them now. What a burst it is, though, from Tsutsumi. Honoka Tsutsumi with a fine individual try. Searing pace down that left wing to get Japan on the board once again. That is a classic winger's finish.
She took the outside very, very well, Tsutsumi there. You can see the danger. Look at this, the speed at which they go, and she just took the outside and just knew her way to the line. A fantastic try, and really Japan have really put Hong Kong to the sword for the first few minutes of this game. They've really gone out and said, we're taking charge of this game, and off they've gone. Tsutsumi, fantastic. Yes, as you say, classic winger's try.
Garvey and Kwong left trailing in her wake.
Yep, just gonna bang it.
Mayo Shimizu looking to add the extras from out wide, but this is a flow to the game that Hong Kong would have been concerned about at the beginning, especially with their recent history. That is a great kick, but unfortunately just runs out of gas underneath the crossbar. As we mentioned, the games in the Asian Championship just over a month ago now ended with victory for Hong Kong at home, 58-0. And then, despite resting almost their entire first team squad for the rematch, sorry, Japan winning 58-0 at home, and then Japan winning the second leg 60 points to 19. So 118 to 19 aggregate score gives you a fair indication of Japan's supremacy in this encounter. Garvey. Again, the ball is wrestled away. This time it's Sakurai who provides the possession for her team. Minami. Make sure it stays there. The stab through from Yamamoto is good. And the game management of Japan, very efficient, very effective.
Japan are playing very, very well. Sakurai got a fantastic turnover back there. I'm sure the Hong Kong coach, Amazuri, is wondering what has happened here in the first 14 minutes.
Well, the Japan coach will be, no doubt, delighted with the way that his team have counter-attacked and got those two tries on the board, but well aware that Hong Kong, with plenty of possession, are providing maybe a different threat than he's been used to. Big tackle coming through from Tomita, Makiko Tomita, the Japan number 12, who course, had to receive the first and only red card of this tournament.
Bind on the side.
Making her
On the
impact
side,
felt.
not the
There she
shoulder.
is.
Not the shoulder.
3-game suspension she's had to sit out since that French game.
Crouch. Bind. Sit.
Takano allows Shikui to release the ball, led by Misaki Suzuki in wearing the number 2 today. Tsutsumi just getting up over halfway, but Hong Kong sticking to their task. Tsukui with the box kick. Garvey, plenty of time, plenty of space as well. Good work from Tammy Lau, the loose head. Japan counter-rucking and affecting the turnover. Just when Hong Kong thought they were going to be able to go again, they have to move back to their defensive line. Nagata. Minami scored that try against Australia. One of 3 tries in match day 3.
Holding on.
When we were looking at the stats for possession for the last day, we saw that Hong Kong had quite a lot of possession. It's when Japan get the turnover, it's the meters that they're gaining, the impact that they're having when they have the ball in hand has been much more impressive and has led to the opening 2 tries here for Japan.
And as we're pushing towards the end of this first quarter, Hong Kong have thrust and have had plenty of possession, but the Japanese defence really doesn't look to have been disturbed almost in their alignment, at least.
Exactly, yeah, they're very good. The turnovers have been so impressive in the first 17 minutes. 5 for Japan and only 1 for Hong Kong. They really are targeting the ball, but Hong Kong need to look at the presentation of the ball when they go into contact and into the ruck and getting it away from contact.
That was a fine invitation from Chloe Mack for Kelsey Bootle. And as a consequence, Hong Kong are over the gain line. Garvey. Hopewell Fong looks inside to a tight head Shun Lee.
Tap only.
Presentation is better, it's quicker. Royce Chan playing at hooker today, also plays in the second row for this outfit. Hopewell Fong again looking for that advance down the left flank and again finding good position.
Much better play from Hong Kong in the last few minutes there, as they are getting over the gain line. Garvey particularly has really contributed. 6 carries already made in 19 metres gained. They need to keep doing that, but they really look key for Hong Kong is their presentation of the ball, holding on to that ball, getting it away from contact as quickly as possible, because you can see that Japan are targeting that ball.
Shortened line out from Japan. Suzuki the target. And the clearance from Yamamoto. Garvey forced to go back and go again.
Back, keep going back, keep going back. Good now.
And nobody able to take it cleanly. Shimizu has to recover just outside at 22. Kicking contest ends there as Natasha Olsen-Thorne tries to struggle her way up. Playing at outside centre this afternoon, having moved across to allow the return of Bootle. So-Yan Kwong, a replacement for Aggie Poon, the Hong Kong winger, unfortunately hurting her ACL earlier on in this tournament. Bootle, no way through to go there. Had such an impressive season, only came into this national squad in May, Kelsey Bootle. Outstanding season for the league and grand championship winners, Valley. One of several Valley members in this Hong Kong outfit. Oh, Chloe Mack will not be denied, will she? Scrum half with the big voice.
Who'd have guessed that scrum halves would have big voices like
Who'd
that?
have
The little generals on the pitch.
No, right.
Well, we call her Mac the metronome because she dictates how Hong Kong are going to play, what rhythm they're going to play in. One of the very impressive youngsters around this tournament. There she is. Hopewell Fong out to Bootle, but good anticipation coming through from Yamamoto, and that's why Japan have got the ball now. Takano up to the Hong Kong 10-metre line. Good counter-ruck coming in from Royce Chan, so they will go back for that earlier call.
Yeah, you'll see it here again. Hong Kong have possession. That was a great. Yamamoto came up really well there. Great tackle. Tanaka took it on, and you can see that the ref called it back there.
There's the 17-year-old Moe Tsukui just in shot there. One of two 17-year-olds in this tournament.
Don't lose the contest and come in.
Looks like she's had a slight concern to her nose.
Yeah, it certainly looks that way.
No audition for Phantom of the Opera, I don't think, because she has had more than one vote for the dream team that's doing the rounds at the moment from a couple of the commentators, myself included, for her performance as scrum half. I think she's been a revelation.
Oh, she's been superb, particularly against Ireland. She really was one of the standout players for Japan, and they nearly snuck the win early on in the pool rounds against Ireland, partially due to the out half, or the scrum half.
Tsutsumi again bursting down that left flank. Japan making some headway, losing the ball in the contact though. Yeah, that Ireland game was intriguing, to go 14-0 up in that first half and dominate, and that scrum in particular dominated the Irish 8. And then, well, credit to Ireland for coming back in such strong style to take the game by 10 points. But that first half, I think the locals were quite wondering what they were watching.
You're dead right there, but you can see the quality of Japan when they get the ball in hand. Unfortunately, you do get a knock on. Yeah, their very first handling error there, 22 minutes into the game. You can see how dangerous they are and how they are a match for most teams heading into the middle and tier of World Cup competition.
And I'm sure we will talk later about the progress of these teams once they've left these shores, but it has to be something that they have got to explore, is getting different opposition. Yes, they play against Hong Kong. Yes, they play against Fijiana, as we saw in the World Cup qualifications in December, but they have to get different opposition to allow the team to develop. Easier said than done with the geographical limitations, I get that, but it has to be the aim.
It certainly has to be the aim, and I suppose with the Men's World Cup in 2019 in Japan, you'd be hoping that maybe part of the legacy, if you like, or part of the makeup of that, maybe that you might see a few women's team visiting or around the time of the Men's World Cup, which would be an idea.
Of course, the Olympics the following year as well will have the sevens in it once again. So the oval ball will have its identity in Japan, if it doesn't already. Hopewell Fong trying to find space for So Yan Kwon.
Lost it now.
The drive from Tammy Lau. Max, box kick, charge down, but the ricochet working for a half-back partner. Well, an unforced error not helping the Hong Kong advance. You see how quickly things can change in terms of tackles and the pressure that Japan applied early, beginning to turn things around in the way that this game is opening up now.
It certainly has. You've 29 carries there for Japan, and they've made 138 metres. And on the flip side, you've 49 carries from Hong Kong, and they've only made 111. So you can see that the impact from Japan on the gain line is much better.
On the burst goes Takano. Up to the 22 once again are Hong Kong.
No hands.
Oh, great turnover from the ladies in blue.
Ripped.
But having said that, it's been pickpocketed by Japan, and suddenly it's out wide, and there is opportunity for try number 3. Akari Kato brought down 5 meters from glory. Go again with Misaki Suzuki into the midfield.
No blue.
Numbers out left for the Sakura 15s. Passing is not accurate enough. Tsutsumi has to pick and go again.
Back.
Takano.
No hands, blue, no hands.
Takui weighing up the options. Big hit coming in from Gordon, but the ball's still there for Japan. Thrown wider for Tomita to try and make a dent in that blue line.
First arrival.
Strong defence from Hong Kong, and I think they've turned it over.
There was great play
Too many bodies on the ground.
from Hong Kong in particular. It certainly looked as if Japan, all they had to do is get that ball out wide and they would score. But in fairness to Hong Kong, so it was pickpocketed one way and then the other. And then at this stage here, you were kind of saying, oh yeah, maybe third try here for Japan. And Hong Kong came across, Garvey again doing an awful lot of hard work from full back. And then you see them, Hong Kong in possession, and then you can see that Hong Kong get in there and they get a turnover here. So now you have Hong Kong with 4 turnovers and Japan with 7. So Hong Kong are really getting into this game here midway through the first half.
Gordon finding a reception committee waiting for around the fringe, so no headway, and they will have to go again from the shadow of their own posts. Cheng trying to run from their own 22. Hopewell Fong finding no way through, out on the wide flanks. Menam Chow, the 28-year-old PE teacher, the captain of this Hong Kong side. In the end, Hopewell Fong puts boot to ball. That is very clever play from Kato. And a fullback looks to wind back down that right flank. Shimizu presents the ball well. Tsukui has forwards waiting, led by Misaki Suzuki. Yamamoto once again looking to use the physicality of Makiko Tomita. Tsutsumi. Hong Kong setting out their stall on their own 22. Coming up to the half-hour mark now. 2 scores to the good, Japan, but Hong Kong very much in this game. Yamamoto. Nagata. Needing a little bit of help from her friends to make sure the ball came back her side, but it did. And Suzuki takes things on, and now Japan once again threatening, and as I say that, the ball gets dropped and everybody can draw breath.
Yeah, I think that might just be the second knock-on here from Hong Kong, 13 minutes into the game. Very uncharacteristic. They've been very impressive with their ball in hand. I think just looking at the defence coming up on her and just took her eye off the ball, unfortunately, there. Hong Kong are doing very well in the few minutes leading up to half-time here, and if they can hold on to the ball and maybe get down the pitch and get in with the scoreline at 10-0, they would be quite happy, but there's still a long way to go, I suppose, before half-time.
You can see these two teams so industrious, so energetic, but there's a reason why they are the two lowest point scorers in this tournament. It is the final pass. It is finding that cutting edge that can open the door, and they can make the most of it. Japan have the tools, you would think, with the two tries that we've seen so far, but unable to really execute every opportunity. As Tatsumi, one of the try scorers, comes round a circuitous route back to halfway. Yamamoto modifying her kick well to just find the right trajectory and to find the right location. Half an hour gone, Japan 10-0 up in this 11th place playoff.
Very good, thank you.
Japan, who had to start up against a free-flowing French side, 72-14, that one, and then 24-14, that Irish game we mentioned, 29-15 against Australia before they were bageled by Italy in the last outing. Hong Kong, well, they got nilled, didn't they, by Canada and New Zealand in fairly emphatic style, but to their credit, came back against the Welsh, 39-15. The Red Dragons finished that one, and then 31-7 against Spain in their last outing here at the Queen's University Sports Campus. Pick and drive from Hong Kong.
Stay. Good now.
Good take from Tsukui. Getting the call from Shimizu, and once again making some headway down the flanks. Hong Kong's defence, more often than not, being caught a little narrow. And that's what the Japanese back three have spotted. Yamamoto. Tomita trying once again to get it out quickly to the wing. This time it falls just short.
Advantage knock on blue.
Sakurai trying to muscle her way up over that Hong Kong 10-metre line. There's her second row partner, Mimuda, achieving the feat.
No, no. Release blue.
Hong Kong's defence moving up towards that halfway line, but Japan still in possession, keeping the ball moving, and that's a great anticipatory tackle from Kyan Chong. Good read of the game from the young left winger. Pressure on the ball carrier, Yuki Sue.
Advantage knock on blue.
Looked like she'd lost it, went to Hong Kong, who then knocked it on.
Stop, 7, stop.
It is a game that just hasn't stopped, has it? I'm not sure there's enough oxygen above the Queen's University at the moment.
It's fantastic when you think of the tournament over the last 3 weeks, and this is game 5 over 3 weeks.
Going blue scrum.
The energy and the enthusiasm from both teams.
You can speak English?
Well, the mere fact that there's only been a trio of penalties gives you a fair indication of the helter-skelter nature of these opening minutes of this match. And it's credit to both teams that they look to keep the ball moving, they look to keep the flow. They know they haven't got the biggest of teams, and indeed, you know, that's fairly obvious when you look at the sizes of these two. But the way that they try and keep their game in motion is so impressive.
Yeah, trying to keep the flow go is fantastic. You can see that there's great rivalry between these two, and they know each other very well. So it's a great contest out there.
The forward contest won by Japan at that put-in. And suddenly, The width is on the ball, as I mentioned, and once again it's Tatsumi. Garvey eventually snags her prey. With Japan in attacking position inside the 22. Takui almost, but not quite. Still there for her team, though. Tired legs now in that Hong Kong defence. Sato, the loose head. Takui just making sure everybody is in position, led by Sayaka Suzuki, the open side. Now Yamamoto has it, and now there is opportunity in that back line. The handoff, the try, this time it's Akari Keito. Efficient work from that Japanese attack, making sure that they finish this half on a high.
JD Marie, let's have a word.
Great hands from
With
here,
number 12
and
there for
they're
me.
taking it out wide. Garvey
She
got
left
in
the
here
pitch.
really, really well, put
But
in a
she's going
good
to have her
tackle,
feet.
and then you have to go again, and then Japan just go with the accuracy. Really,
Defend
really
her,
good
Robert.
skill here with passing out. Absolutely fantastic. Keita over there, taking it nice and wide, right out onto the tram lines here, and over they go. And it really is,
Kath.
you know, very good to see the accuracy that Japan can really take to this. And when they're getting that ball in hand, they're really going at
12 in the
those
midfield.
gaps. They're really going at pace,
Yep.
and they're making that gain line, and they got just rewards for it.
And the fact now that it is the entire Japanese back three that are on the try scorers list gives you a fair indication of the way that Japan want to work their attack.
Oh, I mean, they've played each other so often, they know each other so well, and you can see the athleticism from both sides. But Japan really, they're upping it here. They're really getting into the line speed in attack as well as defence. They started off with really good defensive line speed, and now they've really turned that into a really attacking, fast line speed as well, which is fantastic.
So a trio of tries for Japan from numbers 11, 14 and 15.
Thank you.
Great work from the Japanese attack on executing opportunity, seeing what was on.
I think so, coming off the back there.
Change for Hong Kong as Amelie Suhr, wearing 20, is on to replace Christy Cheng in that Hong Kong back row. There's a problem there for Christy Cheng. So Amelie Suhr wearing 20. There she is, known effectively as Frenchie for obvious reasons. Hails from Grenoble. And Hong Kong just feeling that they have to make some mark on the scoreboard before the break. That's where Adrian Garvey is trying to lead them to. Just see the numbers there. Xu Yan Kwong has done well to keep hold of the ball with 3 Japanese defenders in her face.
Rockwell form. Here you go.
Hopewell Fong, the try scorer against Spain, the only try scorer against Spain here 4 days ago, now uses her boot to push her team back again into foreign territory, into the final 2 minutes of this first half. Chan provides the possession, and it's into that midfield with Gordon. The oldest player in this tournament, Christy Gordon, 39 years of age. Gave up teaching to play this great game. Full time with the Hong Kong 7 squad. 17 full-time athletes Hong Kong have, and there's a dozen of them here, one of which is Gordon. bounce ball to Olsen Thorne. Mack trying to keep things moving, trying to keep the momentum, but Amelie Seur will find no way through there.
Much better play from Hong Kong as you're there. It would be good if they can keep it down here and keep the scoreline as it is just before half-time, so they can regroup. You can see that they've brought on Seur there, and she's having an impact in the last couple of minutes since she's come on.
Well, the line-out not going to plan in any way, shape or form, and immediately it's Tsukui with that box kick. Offside call though against Suzuki.
Too wide. In front of the kicker.
So maybe a last chance for Hong Kong to make a difference on that scoreboard. Well, it worked, not quite. Hopewell Fong's kick does not find touch. Kato's does and sends Japan to the hutches, happy with their lot at the moment. The back three all on the scoreboard, Shimizu, Tsutsumi and Kato. The 3 try scorers as Japan look at a half-time lead of 15 points to 0. A very calculated performance from this Japanese side. The way that they soaked Hong Kong's initial pressure up and then struck with 3 great opportunities, 3 very good tries.
It's a cracking contest between these two teams. As we said, you know, there's great rivalry here between both teams, and you can see it, and they know each other so well, but you can see Japanese game plan is really they know that Hong Kong have a very narrow defence, and they're just taking it out wide.
Well, wait and see what happens in the second half. Hong Kong have to change things. Japan will be happy with their lot. 15 points to the good.
Please welcome Japan and Hong Kong onto the pitch for our first match here in Queens to play out for 11th and final.
Take them back. Play on. Hold it.
Wow, what a great start. Try for Japan. Number 15, Mayu.
Hold it.
Wow, what a great start. Try for Japan. Number 15, Mayu Shi.
Hold it. Sit. Steady. Okay. Hang on. No, Blue, you've lost it now. You've lost it. Release, Ivy. Kelsey! With you. No hands, Blue. No hands.
Cracking open and using this as a... Here we go. Try for Japan. Try for Japan, the right wing, number 14.
Welcome back to the Queen's University Sports Campus. We're here in the 11th place playoff. We've got the Asian battle between two familiar foes. Japan taking the first half with 3 very well executed tries from their back 3. There's the stats of that first half. Rosie Foley alongside me. Interesting numbers, but very interesting first half in the way that things have panned out.
It certainly has. If you look at the penalties conceded, for example, there you 4v1 gain line success. You can see that 31, but yet Japan are 15-0 up, and the possession is almost 50-50. But as you can see from the scoreline, 15-0, you can see that Japan are making the gain and actually making it pay.
Handling errors from Hong Kong have not helped them. They've had plenty of possession, but at crucial moments they've lost the ball, and that has allowed Japanese turnovers. And it's no question the Japanese attack has been the most efficient on view so far. Can Hong Kong change it? Amelie Suo was brought off the Hong Kong bench just before the break to make a difference. Big French back row wearing the 20 jersey. Just looking to see if she's still out there. Yes, there she is, with the scrum cap on the far side. Well, that pass from Chloe Mack not helping her forwards.
No, Mack has been very, very good scrum half for the whole tournament long, and then unfortunately at the very start of the game, it was the accuracy in the pass. We never blame forwards for knocking on balls.
Crouch. Fine. 6.
The break from Takano. Early replacement, of course, for Matetonga Bogadrama Nadave, who fractured her leg in that opening game against France. Has been a very able replacement, though, maybe allowing her team to play in a slightly different way than we saw in that opening encounter. Keito, herself a replacement for her namesake Keiko. Yamamoto,
13, good now.
always happy to look for that advance from the boot. Hopewell Fong. In fact, beg your pardon, that's Kayan Chong, the left winger, coming across to cover Central Districts. Mack with the clearance, but Yamamoto will invite Shimizu and co to spot another counter thrust. Tomita. See the speed with which Japan transfer the ball, the width they've been able to get on their attack has caught Hong Kong out on more than one occasion. Shimizu. Shimizu shows and goes. Well, she took 82 seconds in the first half to get on the board. She's taken a little longer in the second. But there is another try for the Japanese fullback.
It's nearly a carbon copy of the first half try in the first 82 seconds here. A little show, and in she went, Shimizu, for her second try here. But the accuracy, the skill set that Japan, the speed in which they flow the gaps, and they're really looking for that outside line all the time, and each and every time they've opened up Hong Kong.
It is the speed, it is the precision of passing that does that. Getting through the phases, of course, makes a defence very tired, but time and time again Japan have been able to maximise that sort of scenario.
And you can see the pace that they're going at, and what they're trying to achieve, their tactics, because they've played each other so often. They know exactly how to score and how to win against Hong Kong.
So a great start for Mayo Shimizu and Japan. One try against Ireland, now 2 tries against Hong Kong. No wonder she's smiling. But just again, the back three of Japan able to make the most of opportunities out wide And Garvey with nowhere to go, really, once that 2-on-1 was established.
The one thing you'll see from Hong Kong is their never say die attitude, so they will get this ball and they will take it down the pitch and they will try and go for a score.
Yeah, and they need a score. They need to get some mark of their efforts on that scoreboard for morale. Credit to them. As we said, they've had to take some huge hits in every sense of the word. 98 points from Canada and 121 from the Black Ferns. That is going to test your resolve, your belief in so many different ways. But Chloe Mack and co will not stop. Swallowed up by Sakurai. Just have to look at Hong Kong and the culture that they work with. There's about 24 women's teams. Rose Hopewell Fong winds her way through, taken down on the 22. But there is a knock-on that finishes things, and so often that is the story for the ladies in blue.
You're right.
Tough cookies, though.
They're very tough cookies. This was a great step from Fong on the inside, and she beat two, and she was still going here.
In the tackle?
That's what they need to do a little bit more of. Really look for that gap and go for it. Too many Hong Kong players are she's just, the balance that she has here is fantastic. Little bit of more of that at the start of this second half, and maybe they'll get some reward for it.
Okay. You just keep an eye on it from, yeah.
Yeah, the 27-year-old teacher has done such a lot for Hong Kong in pressing their claims, in pushing them forward. So I was saying that she is part of the 24 teams that they operate in 3 leagues. There's about 15 to 20 clubs that they are working with, and that is what Joe Hull Dairis, the man who's in charge of rugby in Hong Kong, that's where they're trying to progress things. They're calling this tournament a turning point for rugby, because of course Hong Kong, the first team, men's or women's, to appear in the top level tournament. That's what they've got to build on. That's what they're hoping people at home who are enjoying this coverage with us this afternoon will take from it, will realise the opportunities for top quality sports athletes. And I use that term because there's plenty of crossover available between different sports to see what the opportunities are, both in 7s and 15s. And hopefully they can learn and build following on from their Irish experience. Advantage there for Hong Kong. Bootle and Olsen Thorne combining well. Olsen Thorne, of course, will have her name in Hong Kong history books forevermore. First try scorer ever. Had to wait 188 minutes of World Cup action to get there, but get there they did. Adrian Garvey, of course, with the first points for Hong Kong. That was 7 minutes earlier, but they've made their mark. And a very popular team, and for all the neutrals around, really, to see what they're doing, what they've achieved.
Oh, they have been. There's been huge support both in Dublin and in Belfast for Hong Kong. They're endearing in the way that they will never give up, and it's that lovely never give up attitude, wanting to learn more, that really gets everybody in behind them. And this is a cracking game, and you can see that Hopewell Fong there, 10 carries, 61 metres, and she's done 2 tackles. Fantastic. She's really up the ante for Hong Kong in the second half, and now they just need to get behind her.
They need to get the ball and set up position, which the forwards comply with. But there's the counter thrust from Japan, and too often this has been the story when Hong Kong have got into the opposition 22. Once again, it's stymied by that staunch Japanese defence.
You can see that it's the experience that Japanese have accrued over World Cups and playing more experienced sides other than Hong Kong. you can see that it stands to them in competitions like this. They know how to get the ball, they know how to stop mauls as they did there, and most importantly, they know how to get a turnover.
Well, you just have to look at Japan as a template, if you like, for Hong Kong. Played their first World Cup in 1991 and didn't score a single point in all 3 games. Made a mark, though, because they reportedly bowed to the opposition every time they conceded a try. Respect, of course, at the core of Japanese culture. And there's great respect now for this Japanese team as once again they break out of their own 22. Again, they've got width if they want to use it. Important tackle coming in from Olsen Thorne. Saito, the captain, sets it back once again for Tsukui. Good awareness there from the young scrum half. Taeyeon Chong.
Tackle only.
Emily Sir using her bigger bulk to make sure that it stayed Hong Kong's side. Good run from Olsen Thorne, good angle. Mac. Hopewell Fong. Again, trying to use the French back rower to make some headway, but you can see that red and white line just holding secure inside their own half. Kelsey Bootle unceremoniously dumped to the ground, but still there for her team. Half an hour to go. Chan working hard to get the penalty. Hopewell Fong pushes play up again towards the 22. Now we're going to get the first raft of replacements. So Yumina Noda and Kobayashi into the Japanese ranks at scrum half and hooker. There they are. And 3 changes for their opposition. Jessica O on for Chloe Mack at scrum half, as well as changes up front, including that lady, Karen Sol. And as replacement hooker. And you can see Adrian Garvey being replaced by Colin Josvold at the back.
Advantage. 6 red collapsing.
Call going against Yuki Sue in that maul.
She wants it. Number 6 collapsing.
As ever, impact off the bench critical to these games, to any games now in the professional game. Looking for impact, looking for a change from those guys coming on. And now they have an attacking line out 6 meters out for Hong Kong.
This is an important phase in this game. If Hong Kong can get any sort of a score out of this, it would certainly set up a good second half.
Chow provides the possession, taken on by Tammy Lau. Efficiency has got to be the key here. They've got to execute.
Hands up.
That is very good Japanese defence, keeping so low to the ground, not allowing any easy half meters, let alone meters. Heads over the line, but the ball isn't. Kelsey Bootle tries to make a difference. The timing of the pickup, absolutely key. The dive over the top does make a difference. And in the 53rd minute, Hong Kong break the bagel. I think it's Karen So who's done it, number 17. But at last, Hong Kong are on the board.
Oh, fantastic. You can see what it means to the girls out there as So went over the line. Their commitment to getting over that line and scoring a try against Japan was just outstanding. I mean, it was a great line out, and you can see this is it. We're going over here, and one of us, and it was like a lovely leap there, as if she was jumping into a lovely bed or something like that.
Well, Dr. Karen So has written a prescription for Hong Kong, and it is just what was needed. Try time for Hong Kong at last. They have huffed and puffed for pretty much the entire 53 minutes in some way, shape or form. And at last, they make their mark on that scoreboard.
All good.
Oh, absolutely fantastic stuff. Really now it's set up for a really good second half. Important that Hong Kong kick on from this.
Well, we talked about impact off the bench. Hong Kong have been able to take the benefit of the changes. More changes for their opposition as Makoto Ibuchi comes on into the front row for the Cherry Blossoms. And you see the forwards gathering, waiting to look for that opportunity before they could capitalise. Now, there is the try scorer. Karen So, actually born in London, born in the UK. Of course, Hong Kong's such a cosmopolitan melting pot, so many great ingredients mixing into one country.
Stay there.
Cheng. Just see, Hong Kong have got their dander up now. You just see a little bit more belief, maybe.
You really feel that they're in the second half and they want some more, but unfortunately they got a turnover there and have given it back. You know, oh no, maybe, yeah. We're much better second half. Important now that Hong Kong try and keep possession and keep going down the pitch. I've been impressed the whole way through this game with the kicking ability of both sets of players, and they've used it quite well. And I'm really hopeful that Hong Kong, as we can see, have their dander up. They really want to get some more on this.
We saw the standing ovation from Joe Hull for Shun Lee, the tight head.
More. Own player went down. Own player.
Christy Gordon. Bootle has a presence about her. Kelsey Bootle, a physical presence and an awareness, and for a teenager will have learnt so much from this World Cup experience. Type of player that Joe Hull is looking to build the next Hong Kong team around. These teenagers coming through, the youngsters, plenty of them in both sides. Japan have got the youngest team here. Their average age is just 23, 2 years younger than the next, which is France. So both teams will be able to build and capitalise on this experience of the last 3 weeks. So Japan managing to keep their steers inside the pen, so to speak. Hong Kong not finding any way out. Again, Bootle with hands on the ball.
It's available.
A youngster with so much potential. Pope. Well, the speed of passing is quite different to the Japanese speed, and that's why the ball carrier tends to find themselves into a cul-de-sac with no way out so quickly, and then you get the kick forced. And Japan now will bring this back in some style. Shimizu out to Kato. Akari Kato brought down by Natasha Olsen-Thorne. big and important tackle from the Hong Kong outside centre. Yumino Noda, the replacement scrum half. Yamamoto, again, aware of the opportunities out wide, aware of where her team needed to be. It's been a very calm and assured performance from the Japanese fly half.
As I said, there was great kicking the whole way through this game, and you can see an example of it there again. Yamamoto has been very impressive the whole way through this game. And it is important for Japan, and they don't panic.
No, it has been one of the features of both sides, I have to say, that they haven't panicked in adversity, really. And they've had some big hidings. Of course they have. We kind of knew that before we arrived, as did they. But they have shown themselves to be tenacious, and they've shown themselves to have a relentless desire to play to the final whistle. And very professional in their outlook as well.
First arrival, lost it now.
Olsen-Thorn on the crash ball once again, getting turned into an awkward position though. This may well come back. Oh, Hong Kong have done that well to dig that out. It looked like it was set up for a turnover. And the forwards drive themselves away from danger. Hopewell Fong. Bootle finding no way past Nagata. And the tackles raining in. That time it was Tomita. Continuity is outstanding from both teams. It's just a difference in the way that they utilise it. And again, Yamamoto, this time with a beautifully weighted kick. And Japan are going to be able to capitalise. It's Yamamoto who picks up the rebound.
Back foot.
Oh, the forwards looking to drive and make something of this opportunity.
Back five.
It's there, and it's gone to Ayano Sakurai. The Japanese second row, the number 5, gets try number 5 for her team. An hour gone, and Japan once again 20 points to the good.
Always nice to see a second row getting over. The backs have had their party up to this, but Japan did very well in the turnover here to go straight down the field. Then you had the kick, and we were sure that it was going to be a try at this stage here, but the shape of that ball does all sorts of funny things, and when you're trying to pick it up, you can see that there's a bit of juggling here, but Japan did really well not to panic, as we said earlier on, and to really just to reset, and then they went for that line and kept going over there to get a forwards try, the first one for Japan in this game.
Well, talking of dynamic second rows, it's remiss of me not to ask how your body is feeling after the Legends match that you participated in at Malone Rugby Club last night.
Oh, the body has seen better days, that's for sure. But I tell you, the reunion and the enjoyment that we had meeting players that I played with Ireland, and also meeting lots of the English legends from over the years, was fantastic.
It certainly was a terrific occasion, terrific evening for the first ever women's Legends game. And yeah, friends are reunited, I think was the main tagline, because it was finished 12-all for those that are interested, but it was more than about just the rugby last night.
Yes, I know people talk about legacy. For some of the girls last night, they were involved in the very first Women's World Cup in 1991, and to see those putting back on a shirt and to be able to play a Legends game, they've really seen women's rugby come full cycle, which is extremely pleasing to be involved in.
Who knows how many of these out here may well appear in their own Legends game at some point in the future. Hayogaji, the replacement second row, takes the ball in securely for her team. Mentioned the 2 encounters between these two in July, but of course in that World Cup decider, the triangular in December, it was a far tighter affair. 20 points to 8. Japan beat Hong Kong then, but Hong Kong had already beaten Fiji to get their nomination for this tournament, their ticket. And this looks like it's going to be a tighter affair once again. Hong Kong going through their patterns, going through their phase plays so well, so effectively. Joe Hull and Kevin West, the Hong Kong forwards coach, will no doubt be delighted with the way that they've tried to put their game plan into operation. It's just that they haven't been able to find the cutting edge enough to really open up that red and white line. Olsen Thorne sets it back, but again, a turnover is there. Again, Japan will look to capitalise at speed. Yamamoto throws out wide to Shimizu. Again, she looks inside. Again, she goes. That would be special if the number 15 can get over. That would be a hat-trick call.
Should we stack? It's fine.
Well, you can talk about discipline, but when Hong Kong look at the stats, they've only conceded 2 penalties in 64 minutes play. That says a lot for the concentration and discipline from the ladies in blue.
Hong Kong will take an awful lot from this game and from this World Cup, and that is one of the penalties, but you can see Japan 154 tackles and 86
That was a good one, but I'll have a look out for it.
for Hong Kong.
Well, we talk
Who's
about
the captain
flexibility
now?
in the women's game. It is imperative, and there's another case in point
Thank you.
as Winnie Hsu comes into the second row, as she did against Spain. Also plays at hooker as well. Now really having to muscle up as the Japanese forwards swarm around the ball. Sakurai already
Hands up.
on the try scorers chart for this one.
Last feet. Back.
Noda just waits until her forwards are in position. Takano again leading the way. Quick ball again. Yamamoto gets the call from Tatsumi. Quick presentation again. Just see how they get through the phases so quickly, Japan.
It really is the speed.
Roll, blue.
Those forwards sniffing out another score.
I need you up. You need to be up.
Adrenaline really now pushing them forward again. Kobayashi stopped just short. Hong Kong sticking to their task, really working hard as Japan get through the phases again. The brush off though is from Makiko Tomita, and Tomita brings up the half dozen for her team. Physical presence back in the Japanese midfield and making that physical presence count in attack.
Great rocking, but if you're looking at it, you're looking at this the precision and straight through here. The accuracy, precision and the speed of Japan have been far superior to Hong Kong, but you can't take your eye off Japan for one moment, and really that is the impact that they're having. Hong Kong have been doing really well and going through their patterns, but haven't been making any huge impact there. But Japan, you can see the superiority at this stage, and really the one word I would take from it is their precision.
And the first success off the tee for Mayo Shimizu. It's not going to make any difference to the outcome of the game, but always satisfying to be able to get the extras as Makiko Tomita makes her return to national colours count in an attacking sense. We've seen it many times in defence. And there you can see a beautiful line from the inside centre.
12's at the back.
There's Bibi Lee in to replace Kelsey Bootle. So presumably, as we saw against Spain, Lee will go in at fly half, and that lady there, Rose Hopewell Fong, will move out one. Certainly that's the adjustment that they made in that last game. Changes in the second row as well. Noda and Yamamoto. Hopewell Fong sending it on quickly. Jessica Ho getting in to support Sao Yan Kwong.
Not held.
Winnie Hsu. There's Bibi Lee, and there's the expected formation in midfield. And well, Olsen Thorne almost going through. That was difficult for Kyan Chong, as I think it was Colleen Josfold just coming across her eye line there. Again, Yamamoto seeing what was on. Oh, Tatsumi had an open goal ahead of her. Changing sports, I know, but whoa. That was one that she will not want to see again. Take a look at this.
13 and 15.
Really looking for a great opportunity out wide. And again, there you go.
1-5
Just
and 1-2.
unfortunately, the bounce beat her.
She was 5'8" instead of 5'4". That was a run-in.
It was. I just love the change of tactics. And I have, as I've said on numerous occasions, been impressed with the kicking in this game in particular.
Down.
So Mayo Shimizu's day is done. Successful day as it's been, with a couple of tries and a conversion to her name. Hong Kong trying to work their way out.
No, 20 or 3.
Jessica Ho with the clearance kick, but again, it's just going to invite Japan to come back. Aitasaka.
Mark.
And that, again, is a beautiful kick. Yamamoto just pulling the strings at the right time. And all those wearing the cherry blossom will be delighted with their performance today into the last 10 minutes of their Rugby World Cup 2017 involvement.
Take a breath. Yeah.
Huge satisfaction on the Japanese bench and in the Japanese stands.
The variety that Hong Kong showed in the last line-out has been impressive. They have all the platforms that they need to go forward for women's rugby and to continue this improvement. Playing against the likes of Japan, who have the experience in that, look at the commitment and defence that you're up against here. And then it's the speed in which Japan can get into the turnover and make it count at the end of the day.
Is it the neck or the head?
It's the neck.
Lots of youngsters within the Japanese ranks, half the squad indeed are aged between 17 and 21. So they will be looking to build. You can see the stats levelling up and turning really in this second half in terms of carries.
Hang on guys, time's still off.
The turnovers again though, Japan in the ascendancy, and that has been a key area for the flow of this game really.
It is, and when they get it turned over, they're straight into a counter-attack, and they're because of the mismatches that they have their tactics are to go wide, and yes, the gaps open up, and it's making for very exciting rugby from both sides.
Agnes Chan just needing some attention there. Should allow a replacement for an HIA, I think. Okay, Shun Lee. We shall wait and see whether the lady who started tight head ends up in the back row. She certainly has a mobile game, we know that. Bibi Lee out to Hopewell Fong, getting width on the ball, but you can just see Japan quite able to cope with that flow because there's no direct thrust up the pitch. It's an easy situation for the defensive line to just shift and shift and shift again.
Yeah, shift over to the next player, the ball carrier, and to tackle. And Japan have been quite happy to do that all day, and their line speed in defence has been particularly impressive.
Crouch. Bind. Sit. Steady. Come on up. You right? Okay. Steady on the sit, okay? Stay.
Amy Barrett-Duron on the whistle for this one. One of the two former players now moved across to the dark side, so to speak. The other one, of course, Joy Neville, will be officiating at the World Cup final this evening. Great to see her, and especially Irish representation. I suppose it's quite apt that you will have somebody on the pitch.
It's nice to have an Irish international on the World Cup stage, and particularly with the whistle. And I know she's particularly delighted to be there, but also deserves to be there.
Wasn't quite so happy when I ambushed her last night in front of a big crowd at Malone Rugby Club at the Legends game, but it had to be done. Hong Kong desperately trying to work their way out of their 22. It has been a regular feature of this game how that Japanese defence has been able to lasso their opposition inside that part of the pitch. Chung, no way through, and again Hong Kong's attack having to go from deep. Lee out to Suer. In fact, that's Christine Gordon, I beg her pardon. P.Y. Pun. And in the end, Bibi Lee is forced to put boot to ball. This time, Tsutsumi can reach up for it. There's her other wing, Akari Kato. You see the different lines that Japan are able to run. Just even if they don't make the break, don't make the bust, they can actually hold up the defender, and ultimately that's what provides the space further out. There's the bust this time from Makato Ibuchi. Little sniping run from Yumino Noda, but leaves the ball behind. Well, it is that time of the match when we need to confirm our top player. It's the Aeon Player of the Match. Nominations from Rosie Foley, all yours.
Number 8, Takano for Japan. Absolutely great going forward, great tackling. Just, it's great to see the carries that she's made, and yes, she's beaten 2 defenders as well. Well deserved, but there was a few players on my mind, but in particular Takano really stood out for me today.
And as I say, the fact that she's had to replace such a big player in every sense of the word as Matetonga Bogadrao Mainadave, then she really has stepped up to the plate.
She certainly has.
Sang-Yan Kwong finding no way through.
First arrival.
And once again, Japan able to set that line deep inside
Too many bodies.
the Hong Kong half. That Japanese defence,
1-6. 16.
of which Maki Takano has really been
that's one.
at the forefront,
No,
whether
not one,
with
two.
ball in hand or in defence. The number 8 has led the way
Yeah,
for the
1-6.
Sakura 15s in this game. And tackling has been at the forefront
Yeah.
of Japan's game. Top tacklers they were in the pools,
On the stage,
595
mustn't
tackles
go
they put
forward,
in
you must stay
in
still.
those 3 games, including 270 against Australia. They are astronomical numbers.
Oh, they certainly are. But you can see how Japan are improving and have improved and as it goes through the next cycle. And as we said with the Men's World Cup out there, you can see that this, you know, watch out everybody, Japan are certainly on the horizon.
Shipped on by Chosfold and comes round to take the return ball inside to Hopewell Fong, and suddenly Hong Kong getting a bit of unity to their attack, stitching together some phases which provides the direct thrust they've been after. Bibi Lee out to P.Y. Pun, takes the ball back again. Olsen Thorne. Tammy Lau sets it back for another phase for Hong Kong to go through into the final 5 minutes of their first ever World Cup experience, but then the pass just evades the clutches of
No
Kai
advantage,
En-chung.
knock on.
Hong Kong have been good, but this is what has been killing them for most of the game. It's the last pass. It's a knock on. But you have to be impressed with how Hong Kong will keep going. They've missed 17, and that has resulted in the scoreline being as it is at the moment. But I would have to say Hong Kong have improved the whole way through this tournament, and you can see them going through their
Yeah, let's
phases.
get her off on
I'm
someone
particularly
else on,
pleased
we
to
can
see
play.
them when they're doing line-outs. Now, they've lots of variety in it. Unfortunately, if there was one thing that you were looking at here and you were saying when Hong Kong have the
We got a
ball
quick
in
stop.
hand, they're not committing players opposition,
See what she looks like.
and that means that it's just taking one to take them down. Whereas Japan, on the other hand,
fine.
they're
gonna
cutting
stay?
great
Okay.
lines, and
worries,
it's
guys.
taking
All good.
2 Hong Kong players to take them down each and every time, which is going to naturally give them width on
Sound
the
like fun?
outside.
Listen up. Crouch. Bind. Set. Steady.
Yumena Noda with the feed. Yamamoto, another one who must have been very close to player of the match selection. Very calm and assured, the fly half, in her game management, making sure Japan are in the right sort of areas at the right sort of times.
Thank you. Let's enjoy it, team.
Kataoka sets up the stall inside the 22. Another Japanese attack. The spin from Inui. Saito, the captain, leading from the front. As the presentation once again is very precise. Yamamoto almost through, but brought down by Gordon. 4 meters out. Japan looking for another score to finish their World Cup experience on a particular high.
Hands up. Back.
Quick pick and drive
Short.
from Shiozaki.
Short.
Don't think the forwards want to release this one right now. They sense glory for the front row union, and it is there. The 7th try is scored. Well, fans, mascots, players, everybody happy with their lot. Any ideas? Couldn't see at all. One for the forwards again, to just make sure that they finished on that high. You can see all the forwards galvanised in their thrust, and ultimately Hong Kong unable to hold them out.
not for the want of trying. Hong Kong, their commitment to defending there was excellent, but Japan, really, their energy towards the end of 5 matches in a Women's World Cup, to be able to keep going with the aid of the subs coming on, and yes, the forwards, that was never going to come out the backs.
Aitasaka taking over kicking duties now in the absence of Shimizu. So a brace for Ayano Sakurai. Always good for the forwards to get themselves on the score sheet.
Oh, very important, especially when you're in the second row.
Apparently.
30 seconds.
Last play of this match, last play of the World Cup for Japan and Hong Kong. A tournament in which they've added such colour, such ingredients, such a flavour really to the tournament in their own unique ways. Such an important addition. Suzuki. The break from the Japanese, once again led by Kato. The bench bringing renewed enthusiasm and energy into Japan's game. Yamamoto gets the call from Suzuki. Suzuki goes wide. Suzuki takes Japan to the final whistle with a score. What a great finish from Sayaka Suzuki. A special try, an individual try from the open side, and it finishes the final match for Japan with a flourish.
Great speed on the outside here from the back row. Pinned back her ears and went for the corner. Great energy towards the end of a very tiring tournament, but you can see it had no impact on her. She had more energy as she was running down there towards that try line.
Well, delighted faces in the Japanese camp, and deservedly so. You can see the impact and effect of sevens going throughout this tournament, and yet again these startling athletes showing what they're capable of given any particular opportunity. And look at that for a finish. That is a brilliant kick to finish from Aitasaka. Big smiles on Japanese faces, and deservedly so. Elation at the final score that reads 44 points to 5. Japan take 11th. Hong Kong will finish bottom of the log, but both teams have established themselves in the Women's Rugby World Cup. Well, Japan celebrate 8 tries in their final game. It was an emphatic victory at the end. Hong Kong did their bit to establish a very strong performance, but ultimately the cutting edge that Japan found, the efficiency in attack, made all the difference.
Oh, the precision, speed and accuracy that Japan brought to the table here was absolutely excellent. But the commitment that Hong Kong, with their plays, their scrums, lineouts, and how they have improved throughout the whole tournament has been exceptional.
It certainly has been very impressive the way that both teams have applied themselves to the difficult and different structures of the Women's Rugby World Cup. The number of games they play, 5 games in 18 days, is always going to be a different challenge, and they've adhered themselves greatly. Let's get a reaction from the Japanese camp. Captain Sena Sayatu is talking to Carlton Honor.
Well, Saina-san, congratulations on the win. Your second win ever in a World Cup tournament, your first one here, must be very proud.
今回は勝利をして本当におめでとうございます。
ありがとうございます。素直に嬉しい気持ちでいっぱいです。
Yeah, thank you very much. We really happy. I feel happy for that win.
How tough was it after only playing on Tuesday and 4-day turnaround to play on Saturday?
日曜日からあんまり日がなかった前試合からあんまり日がなかったんですけれども、どういうふうにこの試合に向けて気持ちを向けてきましたか？
次のワールドカップでベスト8に入るために次につながるようなラグビーにしようという話にしてきました。
So we have been talking with other players that we will play for the next World Cup. Yeah.
How important is to have two Asian teams with Hong Kong and Japan at a World Cup?
日本と香港が両方とも2つのアジアのチームがワールドカップで試合するってことはどれくらい重要なことだと思いますか？
アジアの、ラグビー界のこれからの進展に大きな一歩を踏み出せたかなと思います。
So this is our great one step forward towards Asian rugby, I think.
Well, thank you very much for being here in Ireland. I know the crowd really have enjoyed watching you play, and have a good rest. どうもありがとう。
Thank you very much for supporting us. We will be back here 4 years later. Thank you for World Cup.
Please.
So the multilingual talents of Senasayato and Carlton Arn have been shown off to their best effect there. Great to see how they have enjoyed their time. Let's get a reaction from Hong Kong. Carl talking to their captain, Mei Nam Chow.
Well, May, I know not the result you wanted in this game, but what does it mean for you in Hong Kong to be here at this World Cup?
First time we in the World Cup, we want to create the accuracy of the Hong Kong, and then we create that, the toughness. We never give up until the end. Yeah.
What do you think after the experience you'll take back to Hong Kong and your club rugby?
I think we can improve the club rugby intensity, and then keep more girls to come and join the rugby, and then we will come back later.
You've enjoyed Ireland?
Yeah.
Well, now you can rest and have a bit of a rest and enjoy it even more. Congratulations, eh? Have you got anything to say for any of your supporters back home?
Yeah, I think we are very happy to be here for the Hong Kong people representative to represent Hong Kong. I thank you to crowd behind us. We're long fights to here, and then everyone is in Hong Kong and watching us. Keep supporting rugby, and we will play better.
谢谢.
Thank you. Thank you.
See, you never fail to learn from this game, as Carlton Arna shows, and Hong Kong bowing to their fans to thank them. It has been a very special occasion. Here's the Aeon player of the match, Maki Takano, the Japan number 8, being presented by Sinead McAvoy. Well, the end of the road for Japan and Hong Kong. Last time Japan were in the World Cup, they won one match back in 2002. They've done the same this time, thanks to that result. But they can go home and take things on back in Japan. Hong Kong making their debut, defeated but unbowed. It has been a very special tournament for both teams. The final score here at the Queen's University Sports Campus, Japan 44, Hong Kong 5.